Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the newest version of Nostalgiamatic 2.0. Nostalgiamatic Retribution with a Vengeance. uh, it's James and I. We
Hello.
we possibly were gonna have Darren, but he must have decided he's too good for us. Just like I decided I was too good for Nostalgiamatic in the next upcoming episode. So I'm sure we'll have a post about that. So I actually had to go to a wedding, so I missed out.
Yep. To be clear, though, everything's normal. We're just doing a special thing tonight.
Right. We're attempting to do this. I kind of felt like we could pull it off, uh, and so we're going to try that. It's basically, there's no real set um, idea or anything like that. What we basically are doing is whatever we want to talk about, we're going to talk about it. So, too bad. And we decided to talk about mods because um, I've been watching some great Grand Theft Auto 4 mods, and I think I've been spamming James with them, and
Yep.
they're,
They're pretty funny.
they're pretty hilarious. So I'm hoping to show one here later on in this little mini podcast episode thing, and just to start off us talking about it. You had mentioned something about SimCity 2000, and I had no idea that had any mods to it at all.
Well,
What?
yeah. So it's not a true mod in a sense, but one of the first things that I ever did, like tweaking a game, was to get this software called the SimCity Urban Renewal Kit. And what it did is it was a officially sanctioned software, um, where the like all you'd really do is draw and replace the buildings, and so um, you could like draw your own styles and whatnot. And so it wasn't really like anything amazing, but it was kind of the first delving into like a way to modify a game that was pretty involved, but not like any crazy install package. It was just some software that came with it, and you could edit the tiles and sprites, and some of them were animated. So yeah, it was basically a pixel editor, and I don't know, I liked it a lot, and it was fun to play around with. So that was kind of like my first depth diving into any kind of mods, and so that was probably around like 96 or 97.
Right. I actually do sort of remember that my cousin had SimCity 2000 on his Mac, I think it was, and I don't think I ever got in there and was messing around just because that kind of you don't want to have like I'm sure if just the general public started doing that, it'd just be a bunch of penis buildings eventually. Like, I feel like you,
Well,
just like with Spore, how they were like, oh, you can download
yeah,
anybody's monster. I'm sure there would have just been like tons of these like penis buildings and stuff like that or
I
something.
don't know. There's some pretty impressive stuff out there. Like you can, I think you could download them and share them, but that was kind of before the internet was a big deal. So there's quite a few things out there. There's some random like fan SimCity 2000 sites, and so um, I've seen some impressive stuff. But I've never, I haven't installed the game because I think I had mine for DOS, so I don't even think it could play it anymore. But not that I really probably would want to install it. But
Right.
I at the time it was fun, and it was, yeah, like I said, it was kind of the first time I ever did anything with that kind of stuff.
Right.
So
And James was referencing, we're actually in the Twitch chat right now. So if you want to chat live with us while we're making the show,
right.
there Henry Ford was talking, saying that it was a pixel art editor. So if we post about this and you want to come chat with us, just feel free to hop in. And I know it was kind of short notice, but something we're trying here. So
Yeah, and I will have to do a better job of actually reading it out loud, so that way it's not like confusing for somebody who only hears the audio.
correct, yeah, right. Um, and so the next one you have is a game that I played a lot of, and I actually
Right.
I did play it on computer, and it would take up our phone line, of course, because we'd modem connect with each other in Springfield, and so you'd get my father being like, "How come I haven't got a call for 4 hours?" and
I don't
so
know. Weird.
and that, of course, is this game.
Yeah,
So go ahead,
there it
James.
is.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah, it just popped up. Yeah, so like there wasn't much to modding Command and Conquer Red Alert, but I did manage to find a way to do it. They had all of their stats and weapons and stuff stored in text files, and so I was able to. I did this all on my own. I just kind of found it one day, and you can like make your tanks shoot nukes, or like your I don't know, shoot flames or something. So it wasn't anything amazing, but it was really fun at the time, just because it was kind of like um, a taste of like, oh, I want to just see what this does, and sometimes it wouldn't work. Like I think I probably tried doing stuff with the dogs, or that would, they don't have guns, so it probably didn't do anything in the end. But stuff like that, it was just kind of screwing around with the game, and you could do all sorts of stuff. Make them basically the units free, so you could have millions of them on the screen, and or whatever the limit was. I don't even remember anymore. But
Do you,
yeah, that was pretty fun times.
do you know if you ever crashed the game by spawning too many units in
I
the
don't
in the
think I
engine?
did. I don't know.
That must be a really stable engine then if you were just like constantly spawning.
Yeah, I know it could support a ton, but I really don't know if there was a limit or not. I can't remember. But yeah, they had that. I see the picture here. There was a giant. The Russians had a truck that had like a giant missile on the back of it, and so yeah, I remember like putting a nuke on that thing. So it was normally like a good siege weapon, and so like it would just launch nukes, and you'd be blowing up your own guys on accident because he'd be launching it at some random tank, but the explosion would kill everything around it, even including your guy. So yep, that was a great game.
Yeah,
Tesla coils and stuff
yeah,
like that.
I wish I actually knew about that because I did play it so much and it was just a standard fare and stuff. I had no idea that there were I never thought about editing those text files and things like that. So
Yeah.
it's actually pretty sweet. Next game we want to talk about was Unreal, which I played
I
way too
yeah.
much of it, and yeah. Go
I was
ahead.
just gonna say I mostly played it through you, like because you had it is how I pretty much got my hands on it and tried it. So
And the modding we're talking about here is just the player skins, correct? With the
yeah,
um,
the
you could
the
make really.
levels.
I remember we used to have mods when we played it, and we edited it and we made like one of the maps have a Linkin Park song, like way back in the day, like
It's like an hour from
crawling
download.
in, yeah, crawling in my skin. Like it was like playing that while we were like, I don't know, it was quite.
Like, okay, it says it's downloading this MP3 or this WAV file. It says it's gonna take 20 more minutes. Is this really necessary?
Yeah, we're like,
Yes, it is.
yes, it is. And so yeah, we'd have to go over with like, I don't. Oh, we transferred it through file sharing, and then you guys just dropped it in the folder, and that way
Right.
you wouldn't have to get it through the game, and so it would go a lot faster. But um, there were mods that we had where instead of people, there was a cow with like a rocket launcher on its back. I
Right.
remember that. Yeah, I don't know if you do, but
Remember Space Marine? I thought that was pretty sweet because I
yeah,
kind of just got into Warhammer 40K at that time. Yeah, there's tons of them. Like, and even I don't know, they had like levels and things. Like, what was that miniature world? Wasn't that like a mod or like you could fly
yeah.
planes in one of
Oh,
them?
yeah, that's right. Forgot completely about that. There's so much to that game. I
They're called.
I wonder if somebody still has that in our group of friends where like um
Yeah, probably
some
passed it around and yeah, I bet somebody does. But yeah, I mean, it was. Do you remember what it was? Like that there was a special name for that set of levels, or at least as I recall, anyway.
are you sure? Because I thought we just were like getting stuff like we were
Well,
just
maybe I don't know. I felt like there was some kind of weird name, like RC. I don't know, but basically it was like
RC
they
Pro
added,
M.
you know, they added like these jet things glider things that you could fly around on these levels. And there was one level it was like inside a house, and you were like miniature toy soldiers running around basically, and there was like four rooms. The beds were there was like a bed, and you could go under it or on top of it, but it was super
Yeah,
tall,
I,
and you couldn't just climb up
I
it. And
remember
like
that.
in the closet was like a Rancor
I
or
was just gonna
something
say that
stupid.
there was like a ran car that threw like big boulders and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Just weird. Oh, there's an X-wing that flew around.
Yep.
I remember
Yep. A
that.
toy X-wing thing that was flying around. You could jump on it and just get a ride around. And like meanwhile, everybody's running around shooting each other. So it's just like capture a flag or something simple like that. And so it was just kind of funny because it's just like it felt like very like you were a toy playing a battle, and it wasn't serious at all. But it was still really fun because of the change in perspective and style. Because you're used to having everything fit for you. But in this world, you might want to get on top of the bed up there and get a good advantage for sniping or something, but you can't. You got to find a night because it's so tall. You can't just jump up there. You got to find a way to work a way around and get up there. So it was kind of fun level, and I remember those things particularly.
I want to play it. You had really powerful weapons too, is the other thing, so you could shoot down people. And do you remember that? Like the rocket launcher, instead of shooting one rocket, it shot like 19 in like a straight
Right.
row and stuff. It was just
Yeah, yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah.
Like,
It just mods. So I don't know. So there's like those kind of mods where it's just like, hey, let's see what we can do, or see what's really cool
yeah,
after we screw around with this.
it was silly, but we played so much of that mod, it got like ridiculous after a while. Um,
Yeah.
I actually have one to show you
All
that
right.
I'm not sure you knew about. And so I know you play Crusader Kings 2 a lot, right?
Yes. Yep.
And so I think this might be of interest to you a lot, and you should be able to see it pop up here shortly.
I bet I know what it is actually, and I might have tried it, but we'll see here.
All
Yep.
right.
Yeah.
You
I,
got
I,
it.
I figured.
Now I have a question how it plays because it's the Game of Thrones mod for Crusader Kings 2, and basically you take over one of the big houses and you play through, and you expand your empire, and you want to of course take over all 7 kingdoms just like in the show or book. And that is not the right.
That's Command and Conquer.
That's Command and Conquer. Why is that in there?
Yeah, the game itself I tried when it was still earlier in beta, and it kept crashing on me, so I stopped. But it looked really interesting. I really wanted to try it because it the way you play Crusader Kings is it just like fits the. I've never read the books, but I've watched the show, and I mean it fits the style from what I understand of it pretty nicely. Because that game, Crusader Kings, is all about the manipulation and backstabbing. I guess I've probably talked about it a bit, but basically that side of early and Middle Ages, and it's not so much about fighting. There's some armies and stuff definitely, but you do a lot more than just that. So it fit the theme of the show quite well.
Yeah, and that, the learning curve on it kind of, I was like, I do want to play it, but I don't know if I want
Yeah.
to spend the full amount on it because I don't know if I want to learn that the full amount of the game. But seeing this mod, it just looks like it'd be fun. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
just playing through, and you get.
Well, I'm looking at that family tree there. Weird. I wanted to try it sometime, but I just felt so unstable. So I'll probably give it another chance because I think they've probably patched it since I've last tried it. But one thing I mentioned, I think to you, I don't think I mentioned it on the cast. Maybe I did, but they came out with Paradox is the guys who make that game. They came out with Europa Universalis 4, which is like
And it ties in. I think I remember you talking
sort
about
of,
that.
yeah. They have so that game itself alone is like the same kind of thing, but more about fighting and more about growing an empire. And it
Mhm.
takes place from like late Renaissance to like Napoleon era. And so what they did is they made a mod, or a tool, I should say, that allows you to take your Crusader Kings game and then export it into Europa's Universalis. And so you can basically play for a huge, like 1,000-year almost stretch, and keep the kingdom you just had in one game and put it in another. And so it's like you can kind of continue playing your game, which normally would just end. So it looked really cool, and I wanted to try that because I really liked the third one, EU3, and it's just kind of like a continuation of what you had, but just higher techs and more stuff, and kind of the focus of what you're doing changes, but it's kind of cool because you can just keep playing. So that one bad thing about these games is they just stop, and so you're like, oh well, that's it. So
It's gonna take a lot of time. Are you waiting for it to go on sale to actually buy that?
yeah,
full
well,
thing?
I don't even own EU4 yet. Yeah, I'm waiting for it to go on sale. I'm pretty much a cheapskate. So I also have a ton of games to try. So
Yeah.
don't really have a need to buy it right now. I suppose if someday I ever get through a bunch of my games, which probably will never happen, then I'll get down